I think what, yeah, I'll just make you co-host, so then you should be able to record, right? One second.
Yeah.
Just one
And
second.
Manoj, only one thing, I
Yes.
forgot few names, but but everybody welcome. Please welcome on the call. अगर मैंने आपका नाम नहीं लिया तो
Yeah.
I apologize. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ferdie, can you just check?
Yes, I have. It started recording.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is 4 p.m. India time. A little, maybe
Good
2
evening,
minutes
sir.
beyond that.
Good evening.
Okay. So it's really nice to see you all here. Uh, Here we have Ferdie De Souza from UK, and myself, Manoj Onkar. I am based in Mumbai, and Vivek Chopra in Delhi. Okay, so we
Vivek has
are
had a haircut, so he's looking smart.
smarter. Vivek, can you raise your hand? Just okay. So we are kind of going to facilitate today's conversation together, but we also have a lot of other friends who have been involved with us. Aljur from Philippines. Aljur, you want to raise your hand once again? Okay, and then we of course have SK Rao, Ashok Vashisht. Can you raise your hand? Okay, and Nilesh Surana and a couple of other people. All of us in a way are welcoming you all to this special introduction to the leadership from the emerging future. Okay, I assume my voice is coming out clear. If you can just raise your hand, it's like a thumbs up to say that. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So let me just kind of set a little bit background here. So we are going to have this session for 2 hours, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. India time. And in this, we are going to do our best to introduce a very, very powerful technology and a powerful leadership and change management course that we have been working on. And this is created by MIT professor Dr. Otto Scharmer, and this is a curated course based on the theory that he has created. What we're going to do in these 2 hours is we're going to talk about key principles. We will support you to look at how they apply to your intentions in life right now. Yeah. And at some time, we will also share information about our next course, next batch, and any other logistical information about it. This is 2 hour session. We won't be having any breaks. So if you need to take a break, like use a washroom or something, you just manage yourself. No need to inform anybody, right? And you can come back as early as possible. We request you to put your videos on all the time, unless you have a bandwidth issue. And of course, we request you to put your audios off, unless when you want to speak. So you can just unmute and speak, and then go back on mute. Okay, and whenever you want to speak, if you raise your hand electronically, that is also fine. Otherwise, you can just unmute and speak when you want to ask a question or say something, right? And this is going to be more of a interactive discussion than a presentation per se. So feel free to engage in between, and if you have any question, you can jump in and ask the question also. Okay, so with that, let me start with introducing.
Manoj, can I just interject?
Yeah, I was just handing over to you to introduce.
Before I do that,
Go ahead.
logistically, we have about 80 screens on. There are 80, 81. This is the 81st person. So people keep coming in. So there are about, I think, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 on a screen. So you won't be able to see everybody. So the best way to use this is to go to speaker view. And if you click on speaker view, then the person who's speaking, their picture will be large. Okay, and you'll see some screens on the side. Or you can look at it this way, but then you have to move from one screen to the other to look at who's speaking. Okay, so that my suggestion is you use speaker view. If you click on it, when you speak, then your picture will be enlarged. And whoever's speaking, you'll be able to see them. Okay? All right, Manoj, you were turning it over to me to introduce myself.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Manoj introduced us from the beginning. So there is Manoj and myself, and Vivek are the key people here, and there are a whole lot of other people who are involved in the team who are supporting in creating this. Just to introduce myself, my name is Ferdie De Souza, and I have been for many years, for 20, 25 years, I had been with Landmark Education. And I think quite a few people here have done the forum and programs of Landmark Education. So I was the person who built up the operations in India. I was the operations manager, and I trained and developed many forum leaders and operations managers and people like, seminar leaders and people like that over the years. And currently, what I'm doing is I am a management consultant, an executive coach, and I lead, along with Manoj and the others, I lead these leadership development programs, which we're going to introduce you to. And Manoj will say much more about it as we go along. So I'm not going to say very much more than that, except I'd like to welcome all of you. I know there are some people from London here who have been introduced by Chaitanya, I believe. So please feel welcome. And I know he's not on, so he can't welcome you directly, but let me welcome you on his behalf, okay? Thank you.
Great.
Over to you, Manoj.
विवेक, कुछ शब्द आपसे हिंदी में अपने हिंदी दोस्तों के लिए भी.
मेरा नाम विवेक है. I've been leading seminars for about 19 years. I led the mission control productivity workshops for the last 17 years. And I've been leading the leadership from the emerging future work with Ferdie and Manoj for the last 4 years. And I'm also coaching people, doing executive coaching and life coaching. And it's just a privilege and honor to be with all of you. And hope you have a real valuable evening. That's our stand. Our commitment is to have a real valuable evening today. Up to you.
Fantastic.
Manoj.
Welcome. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I have been partner in crime with Ferdie in expanding landmark education operations and training landmark leaders here in India for around 16 years. Parallelly, I have 25 years of working in consulting, organizational development, management consulting. And last 4 5 years, we have been really privileged to have the access to this technology for global transformation. Okay, so overall, between the three of us, we would have had the privilege of definitely coaching more than 100,000 people and more than a couple of thousand leaders and trainers. Without now going much into that, let us just directly jump in a little bit about theory U and our intention. Uh, our intention is to bring a alteration in the consciousness with which individuals, organizations, and society operate. Okay, and so whatever we are doing, the intention behind that is to bring a alteration, a shift in the consciousness with which individuals, organizations, and society operate. Okay, and now I am trying to share my screen with you. Uh, Let me know when the PowerPoint comes up. I think right now that you can see the calendar, right?
No, it says started screen sharing.
Okay.
There, your screen is being shared and the calendar can be seen.
Okay, sorry. Let me just check 1 second. Get my. Okay, so now this should be faster.
And will Shraddha please put your sound off? Shraddha, Sadanand, when you come on, please turn your microphone off.
Okay,
I think your speed is low, Manoj.
Is it?
Ah, there it is. There it is. Okay, it's come on.
Yeah.
You want to make it full screen?
Yeah, I'm doing that. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, so it will come, and you can see the name of the course is the Leadership from the Emerging Future. Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, we can. We can see
Yeah.
the screen. We're not seeing full
The
screen,
full,
but we're
yeah,
seeing the screen.
yeah, it is. It will come.
We are
But
seeing
you
the
can.
PPT.
Okay, good. So you can see the 3 books there, and these are the books created by Dr. Otto Scharmer on this Theory U. They're called Theory U, Leading from the Emerging Future, as well as Theory U Essentials. Okay, and let me just take you through a little bit about him. Okay, so as the screens come, Otto Scharmer is a professor with MIT, and he's been working for over last 3 decades on this research. And the work here is being built on a lot of experience with companies like Google and Alibaba and McKinsey and ICBC, PwC, and many, many more, where they have used these principles and been training them. And his colleagues have been, his senior colleague is Peter Senge, and Peter Senge, for many of you, is known for introducing systems thinking concept to the corporate world. Also the person who is famous for bringing the concept of organizational learning. Book The Fifth Discipline is quite well known. Along with him, I think another senior guide was Edgar Schein. Edgar Schein, also known as Ed Schein, is I think many people consider him as the father of corporate culture conversation. Like, he's the one who brought in the awareness of how cultures differ and how cultures influence the performance and the overall life of the organization. So that is this is the background from which this whole work comes. And this U theory is about learning, it's about leadership, it's about innovation, and it's about transformational change. Okay. Now, we're going to go a little bit deeper into this, but before we go there, I would like to ask you a question. Okay, and you might just type it in chat. Okay, and the question that I would like to ask you is, what is your most important objective right now? Okay, so you can write it in short, no need to write like a long answer to it, but like getting to the point, right? So what I mean by that is nothing wrong in writing long, but the point is, what is the main point you would like to say, right? So I'll repeat my question. What is your most important objective right now, right? Some of you may look at it from your professional angle, some of you may look at it organizationally, some of you may look at it from your whole life perspective. Most welcome, right? So everybody, if you can just take a couple of seconds and type it in the chat.
And people have started
Right.
typing it. So if you go to the chat, you can see the responses from people.
All right. And we'll also get a couple of people to share, but it's good to get started with writing it on the chat, right?
Learning about need of future leadership, cultural shift of the organization, creating job to earn money, to learn about leadership, to serve others, business sustainability, business development and connect, how to manage tasks as a leader, reaching 1 million customers and causing a difference in their life, create happiness at personal and organizational level, sustain the existing ongoing business from personal leadership and professional leadership. Karthik, welcome. Sustainable business, leadership and business success, expand by business to the international level, ensuring better future for the young trainees of our institute, to sustain the business in the current scenario and be debt-free. After Corona, revolutionary change, to use my time productively and grow, creating business
Very
ideas
good.
and strategy on ongoing business.
Very good. And I also saw a couple of people writing about sustainable business, right? And here also business growth and sustainable, right? Okay, fantastic, right? And the question that we want to look at is, to fulfill this objective, right? Where are you looking at to learn? To learn what to do, what should be your next action, how to go about accomplishing this objective. Where are you going? Where are you looking at? And I am not expecting you to respond to this question, but I'm asking that to start thinking. And I'm using that to bring in the first key principle of this conversation is learning from the future that wants to emerge versus learning from the past. Consider that most of our management, leadership, education is around looking at the past and understanding it, creating some theories, concepts around it, analyzing it, and then applying it to our current situations or maybe even future situations. In short, you can call it reflecting on the past. Of course, critical, of course, useful, very, very important. But as you know, the future is not going to look like the past. And if anybody had any doubt, I think COVID has just pushed the envelope further, that really the future is not going to look like the past, right? So if the future is not going to look like the past, and the job of the leader is to take the organization, take the group, take the whatever conversation you're working on into the future, then maybe learning from the past is not enough. Maybe we need to rewire our thinking and look at a seemingly odd concept called learning from the future. But when we are talking about, okay, some Vivek, can you?
Done.
Yeah, thank you. So when you look at this whole concept of learning from the future, we have to really let go of our current understanding of learning and current understanding of knowledge and leadership, and look at, okay, what does this learning from the future that wants to emerge look like? Okay. And one more dimension that I want to bring in here is, most of the times leadership and management has been about my goals, our dreams, our ambitions, our vision, our blah 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 blah. And the good news is it doesn't work. What's the good news of it? I'll come to that.
Bad news is.
But if you look at all of us know of highly successful companies of the past who are either not so successful right now, and some of them don't even exist right now. And what happened to them? Many of them got stuck into their vision. They got obsessed with their vision, their goals. This is the technology we want to bring in. This is what we want to do. And what they missed out is the world doesn't care about your goals and your vision and your strategy. There is a future that is wanting to emerge. We don't know what is that future, right? But whatever that future is wanting to emerge at any given time, either you will see it, sense it, and have your future in sync with that emerging future, or it will come and it will disrupt you. Okay. So Ferdie likes to say it in his own way about an example of the surfer. Ferdie, you want to create
Yeah,
that?
imagine, this is a future. We've been trained in management training, in Landmark Forum and other places to imprint our vision of the future onto the world. We want to make it the way we want to make it. But this is different. This is right now, I think if you try your best, you won't be able to get a vision that you can imprint. on the future because there's so much that's different. So it's like the surfer. He's on the beach. He's surfing. He's got his surfboard, and what he's doing is he's watching the waves. And if he picks the right wave, he can ride the wave all the way to the beach and land safely. If he picks the wrong wave, he will fall flat on his butt. So what leaders have to do today is to be able to judge the wave that's coming and sense it before it fully appears so that you can ride the wave. And that's what we call leadership from the emerging future. The wave is emerging and you want to be able to ride that wave. Is that what you're looking for, Manoj?
Yes, yes.
Great.
And consider that you need different set of competencies when it comes to learning from the past and different set of competencies to learning from the future. So I'm going to put you one more question, and again you can respond on the chat, and then we might even interact with some. But let's look at, what do you see as the main difference in the leadership style required in the 21st century versus the leadership style that was okay in the 20th century? Okay, so take a minute or two, and can you please chat, put your response in the chat. What do you see is the main difference required in the leadership style of the 21st century versus what was okay as a leadership style in the 20th century? What do you think?
You can speak it out as well.
You can unmute and speak, or you can chat in, type in. Yeah. Flexibility of vision. Vivek, you want to do the honors?
But I think
Sure.
people can read it,
Yeah,
you know,
okay. Yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
you're missing it. People can just read it.
Okay, good.
And Manoj, you can pick some of those that you want to use.
Yeah, yeah. Leader should be more like a guide. Yeah. Everyone needs to be involved. That's a good one. Should the ego to eco. Great. Okay, I hope a couple of people are typing in. Yeah, okay, now is the flow coming. Okay, boss versus co-worker. Okay, too much control doesn't work now. I think that's good. Right, coping with changing business scenario. Yes. Ah, I like this, top down versus bottom up and collaborative. Very good, fantastic. Take people along, collaborative leadership, adaptability. Okay, fantastic. Okay, initiation and acceptance. Okay, cool, very good. Conscious leadership. Okay, Joanne, fantastic. So I think we are on the right direction. So a couple of competencies that we see as critical for the 21st century leadership is, first one we call deep listening. Okay, now of course I know all of us think we are all great listeners. That's a different topic, but the first thing that we need is the competency of deep listening, right? Yes. And then the other competencies that you build as you master deep listening is what we call as sensing, sense making, and then collaboration and co-creation. Okay, so that's the important dimension that we want to look at. And today we are going to also do a small exercise to get you introduced into the world of deep listening and what we mean by deep listening and how do you actually develop yourself in that. So in the later portion of the session today, we will be coming back to this deep listening conversation, and that will be the beginning of all the other competencies that we talked about. Okay, so I'm going to kind of put this conversation on hold here, and I want to bring in another conversation. Okay. And the other conversation that we want to bring in is what we call as the blind spot of leadership. Okay. And as you know, what is blind spot? Blind spot is something that you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know, right? So if I can ask you an example. You shouldn't be able to give me an example, because if you give me an example, that wouldn't be your blind spot, right? Because blind spot is what? Is something that you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know. So, but it gets capped, this blind spot of leadership that we're talking about gets captured in a quote by Bill O'Brien, the ex-CEO of Hanover Insurance. And he says, the success of the intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. Okay, let me just see if I can, I think I have a slide which should also help you to see that, so that you don't have to write it down or something. Okay, and I'll take you through. So give me a second here. Okay. Okay, here we go. I hope you can see that. Okay, can you see? Oh, it went red. Okay, just 1 second. Oh, ha 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 ha. Fantastic. It's going on the slideshow mode. Okay, can you see the slide now?
Yeah, we can see the slide. Just go back to.
What is it now?
Go back of, yeah, this one.
1 second. Now it has come. Either my Zoom is acting faster than me or slower than me. I don't know which one. Okay, so now what do you see? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the success of the intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. This is a, I think this is one very important pillar on which the whole conversation is based. What we mean by that is the success of my projects, my initiatives, whatever I'm taking on, depends on my interior condition. In the same way, success of your projects and your initiatives depends on your interior condition. And we're going to look at what is interior condition right now. Okay, but let's look at what happens when we look at learning leadership. You have three places from where you can look at where you can learn, and very similar to looking at learning from a painter. If you look at a painter, you can see the painting, which is the end result, right? Or you can see the painter in the process of creating the painting. You can see when he or she is painting, so that you'll see the process of the painting. But consider the end result or the process is not the real source of the painting. The real source is what's going on inside the painter as he or she is standing in front of the blank canvas. In the same way, as a leader, you can see all the results people are producing. You can also see all the processes and all the theories around that. Or you can go to the source. And mostly we don't go to the source. What is the source? The source is that interior state of the intervener. Now let's look at what we mean by this interior state. This interior state is what we say as three things, okay? Intention, attention, and presence. Again, we'll go a little deeper into this. So first is, what is your intention? Right? And then we will look at the second part is, what's your attention? Where is your attention, right? And presence comes from two words, being present and being able to sense. So present and sensing. Okay, so let's interact with some people. Let's hear from some people now. What is your intention? So somebody, you would like to unmute and speak up? And those of you who want to share on the chat, you can do that also. So both options are open. You can unmute and speak up, or you can share on the chat. Both. Go ahead. Dr. Harsh, you want to say something?
Yeah. No, we just
Okay.
glad to. I mean, we joined in a later, but we're just glad that
Actually,
you are
your sound is
talking
really
about deep
bad. Your sound is really
sound.
bad. It's cutting in and out. Can you put it on the
Can you
chat?
chat? Can you put it on the chat? Type it. Hello? Yeah, try putting it on the chat. Okay, your voice is
Yeah,
cracking.
yes.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, in the meanwhile, let's interact with some people. What you see is, what is your intention? Okay,
My
Amit.
intention is funnel.
Hi Manoj.
Hi. And then
Just
I'll come
want
to
to ask
Swanand
you,
and Rakesh. Yeah.
I just want to ask you what area you're asking the intention. Like, can you just clear us?
You can choose anything, but if you have a doubt, then you can choose professionally.
Okay. So my intention is to make our company
Hmm.
top 5 in Gurgaon in real
Okay.
estate.
In real estate. Okay, great. Thank you. Swanand, and then I'll come to Rakesh, and then we'll invite other people. Yeah. Swanand, go ahead.
I want to reach, I want to reach 1 million customers and
Okay.
contribute in their life.
Okay. And what is your
Business.
business?
My business, I'm financial advisor.
Okay. Very good. Fantastic. And Rakesh?
Okay. As far as concern is about intention
Hmm.
of my life, if I talk, because
Okay.
अगर business की भी है तो definitely it comes related to my life. ठीक है ना? Business is a media only.
Right.
कि मेरी intention कैसे पूरा कर रहा है तो मैं अगर life की intention की बात करूँ तो definitely I just want to live full of life.
Okay.
Doesn't matter कि पैसा कम है ज़्यादा है कोई चीज़ें आपके पास facilities कितनी हैं कितनी नहीं है doesn't matter. Definitely it's all about your attitude. How do you carry your life? एक इंसान बस में भी रोता हुआ जा सकता है एक इंसान मर्सिडीज में भी हंसता हुआ जा सकता है या वैसा वर्सा है ना उल्टा हो सकता है
Perfect.
Definitely my intention is that to just create my life with full of happiness my as well as my dear one.
Got you. Thank you very much, Rakesh. And Dr. Harsh, I got your message. You want to grow your company, right?
Somebody's raised a hand. Jose.
Joe's Budancherry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening. Yeah, Mr. Manoj. Yeah, my intention for our institute is to have all our students, that is, we got an ITI institute, and
Okay.
all our students to pass 100% pass with 80% mark.
Oh,
It's an
fantastic.
impossible task as we see it right now, especially with COVID. But
Okay.
our intention is that, and we are working towards it with our group meetings and our things. How we are engaged in the online classes since March, since the
Okay.
shutdown. So
Since the
we are pushing them to get to that kind of mark. Let's see where we
Perfect.
reach.
Got that. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mohanji.
Mohan Gupta. Mohan Gupta, can you unmute and speak, please? Yeah.
My name is Mohan Gupta.
Yeah.
I am leading a public charitable trust.
Right.
The vision of my organization is to make the world free from disease. Disease-free world.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Couple of other people.
Akshay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my intention is every person will have sound mind, healthy body, and wealthy society. Means he will be functioning for society.
Okay.
By profession, I am a psychiatrist.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Very good. Somebody else? Let's have a couple of more people. Yeah, if you're waiting for somebody else to speak, you can jump in now. It's your time.
Yes. Okay. So contributing in others' life. Contributing.
Okay. Who's that?
Anup Shekhawat.
Anup? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And when you say others, you have anything specific to say there?
Yeah, in financial, in social, everything, we
Right.
can contribute in others' life.
Okay. Very good. Fantastic. Okay.
Sadanand Patwari.
Sadanand, and then was it Deepak
And
or
then you
Deepak?
need to move on.
Yeah.
My intention is no one should die of heart attack by 2050 in India.
Okay. Nobody should die of heart attack. Okay. The last person, I called on somebody. Yes.
My intention, yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead. Shubham.
yeah. My intention is I want to stop the child labor.
Okay. Very good. Got that. Okay. So as some of you said, some of you shared your intentions, and I'm sure others of you are thinking about your intention. Of course, one important part is to get clear about your intention, right? Like crystal clear about your intention. Secondly is, Rohit, can you go on mute? Yeah, thank you. Secondly, to look at, okay, is everybody in the company or everybody working with you aligned to that intention, right? Are they present to it, aligned to it, aware of it? And then there's a very important part which some of you highlighted, is what we call is it an ego intention or is it an eco intention? Okay. So Ferdie, you want to expand a little bit on ego and eco?
Well, I was listening to what you guys were saying, and there are a few things I think, Manoj, I'm not quite clear about with regard to where you wanted to go. Let me say something. See, whatever is your intention, you want to be a multi-billionaire, you want to be any kind of person, right? Whatever your intention is, do you have your attention on that intention, or where do you have your attention? That is important. Are you attending to that intention? I think there was some ITI Institute gentleman who shared that while they are locked out and everything, they're doing a lot to focus on the intention and to make that intention happen. So the results that you will produce for yourself will be a function A of your intention, B of the attention you pay to that intention. So that's one thing, okay? So let's take intention itself. If your intention is only about yourself and your family, it's an eco intention, then you got a limited number of people who will be willing to engage with that intention, because what's in it for them, right? If you want people to engage with your intention, if you are an owner of a company, you are working on a team, you're working on anything, if you want other people to engage with you on that intention, and if they engage with you, you're more likely to fulfill that intention. Then, by the way, Amarpreet, can you put your microphone off? Everybody, please put your microphone off. Otherwise, it keeps disturbing everything. So the nature of your intention, is it what we call ego, which is limited, boundaried, siloed? It's about yourself, the accounts department, or about your family, or about India, or about Maharashtra, or about Kerala. If it's got a limit or a boundary, then the kind of support it can garner is limited. But if it is what we call eco is coming from a Greek word, which means household, family or household. You know, it means a larger family, a larger household, like in the Indian families, right? You're either going to be for the family or you're going to be for you and your wife, or you and your children. So depending on eco, and here what we mean by eco and what we are working on with regard to eco is worldwide. There is a Sanskrit phrase, Manoj, you'll have to come to mind.
Vasudeva Kutumbakam.
Yeah, it's called Vasudeva Kutumbakam. That is the worldwide family.
The world is a family.
You know, the world is a family. So is your intention for the Vasudeva Kutumbakam, or is it, sorry for the mispronunciation, or is it just for yourself, for your ego? That will make a difference. So in today, in the lockdown situation, in the COVID situation, everybody's scared to death. I don't know about everybody, but I am, and I think a lot of people are scared about how are we going to survive, what are we going to do, how are we going to make things work, and our attention tends to be focused on ego. And then we don't see too many opportunities, we don't see too many openings. But if we shift our attention from ego to eco, the world, Vasudevan Kutumbakam, you know, the world is a family, then you start to see that there are things you can do and actions you can take and goals you can have that you couldn't see if you were working from ego. That's what we mean by shifting, looking at your goals. Are they ego goals? Are they ego intentions? Or are they eco intention? And then
Yeah.
obviously once you got that intention, then you got to pay attention to the intention. Okay? All right,
Yeah.
Manoj, back to you.
Thank you. And this ego thinking versus the eco thinking, it shows up in many ways, many ways. So for example, it shows up in our organizations in this departmental silos. That's one way to see the ego thinking, right? And the other way to look at is when we are looking at, okay, as an organization, we work with many organizations, and recently in this COVID situation, almost everybody comes with, oh, we are worried about sales, and we are worried about how are we going to meet our targets. And definitely that's an ego intention, valid, but it's still an ego intention. And then when you start looking at, okay, how am I going to get my company to grow, that is an ego intention, right? How am I going to get my students to grow? While it is definitely a broader context, maybe even that has a boundary. So what do we mean by ego? Right? Ego means a boundary that you create in your thinking when it is for somebody, focusing on somebody, and not being mindful of the impact on others, right? While eco is more inclusive in nature, and you are mindful of the impact that you're creating on others. So it's as inclusive as you keep expanding on that, right? Till the time, of course, ultimately you reach the world. But even when you don't reach the world, you keep expanding, right? And ego is by design, it is exclusive. Oh, it is for some people, and I really don't, I hope nothing wrong happens, but I really don't focus on the impact on the others. Okay. So what I would like to do is I would like to give you an opportunity to share in small breakout rooms that will put you in around 4 teams of a group of 4 approximately. And uh, yeah, and I would like you to share what is your intention with the people there, and also see if you could bring in the eco perspective, how maybe it would look different if it could. And for some of you, if you don't see anything, that is also fine, don't worry about it. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to share in your small breakout rooms. Okay, and I invite everybody to join those breakout rooms, and also to uh, yeah, and also to share. Okay, so let me see. We'll give you around.
If anybody has a question while we are doing that about ego or eco.
Okay, great.
Manoj, you're still there, yeah?
Yeah. So now I'm just sending you. Okay, enjoy for 5 minutes. Have a conversation. Vivek, you were shifted automatically.
Yeah, we are all shared.
Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Okay, everybody's nearly back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost.
You
yeah.
sent me to a room also, so I was in
Okay.
another room.
Yeah, no problem. I actually, because of 100 people, I didn't have the time to distribute
no problem.
manually. So, but I hope you got a chance to, everybody got a chance to share. So let's hear from some people. What do you see about your intention, and what do you hear in this principle of ego to eco? Let's hear from a couple of people.
So, Manoj, can I, Anup?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we are having a school. So, we are contributing and implementing that culture, Vasudev Kutumbakam. So, our slogan is Jai
Right.
Jagat. Whole world is a
Right.
family, and we should say Jai Jagat. Jagat means universe, whole world.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah, but when you look at as an intention, what is the intention of the school?
Contributing children's.
Okay, good. And then when you uh, look at how are you putting your attention on this intention?
Yes.
All the schools in the world are contributing to the children,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Hopefully. Right.
So
Manoj,
we,
I think you can reframe the question by when you look at how you're working,
Yeah.
is your attention on that intention or is your attention somewhere else?
on that intention, we are attentive on that intention. So we have
Okay,
created one slogan, Jai Jagat, Jai
no,
Jagat.
I know what you're saying. I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. And it's very good, Anup. It's very, very good. But unfortunately, from my experience of working with many, many people and my experience with myself, I know that while we have very noble intentions, we normally don't focus on those intentions in our everyday life.
Yes, yes.
And the scope for improvement is where we are falling short, where we are not paying attention to the intention. That's the place of most fertile, it's the most fertile ground. Am I right? Is that where you want to go, Manoj?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I, Manoj?
Sure, Vivek. Go ahead.
You know, schools are the place where young people, children, pick up certain habits. And the habit the child forms is that they've got to please the teacher. And they've got to do everything the way the teacher wants them to do it. It is called learning from the past, not
Yes.
learning from the future that is going to emerge. The teacher is not engaging with the children where the children get a chance to express what is creative in them. Students in colleges and universities don't get a chance to express themselves. Their job is to please the teacher to get the maximum marks. When they grow old, they get into offices and they have to please the boss, which is all ego, 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 ego. The whole space of education is ego. Unconsciously, even though all noble teachers, all wonderful teachers, including us, we've all been teachers, but how we operate, how things are actually functioning, it's all ego.
Got it.
So, like what Ferdie said, Anup, it's yes, we have that intention, right? And then to start looking deeply into okay, when I'm doing this action, when I'm taking this decision, when I'm doing this, or when my team is taking those actions, the day-to-day actions, where is the attention, right?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Got it.
Thanks, Anup. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody else, what do you see for yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I?
Yeah. Two people had raised their hand. So if you're wanting to share, just unmute and speak. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm.
Yeah. Go ahead. The lady first. Okay. Who's sharing? Sorry, Mehul, you wanted to share?
Yes.
Yeah, Mehul and then Jose.
I'm
Yeah.
starting. I'm. My intention is to creating opportunity for community people to start business. So right now, my intention is like so many people have suffered in their businesses who are doing existing business, and there might be many job loss, and the people might be having difficulties in their economic situation. So like I'm already I've started working on my intention since last 1 week, and I'm getting good responses as well. So my intention is people from the community who are well established in the businesses will come forward and offer through their structure and setup business opportunities for the other people who wanted to start a new business. So like for example, I've got some offers from tea manufacturers, chemical parts likewise.
Right. Got that. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
And yeah, thank you.
Hey, Manoj, can I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Jose.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Jose.
I appreciate what Mr. Vivek said about the school and the way that the culture that has been there from KG1 to college. But
Yeah.
I beg to differ on this because at least in terms of our institute, what we believe is we don't care how you come into our institute, but we do care how you go out of our institute.
Very good.
Not just with a piece of paper, a certificate, but with a job offer letter. That's what we aim at. So we make sure that every student, thank you, we all together make sure that everyone, that's why we say 100% placement. We don't want it. We know our students are from very poor background, from, I would say, single parents, daily workers, different, the poorest of the poor communities they come from. And they come with, chappals, with no proper dressing, and, all kinds of things you find there. But once they come in, we prune them and we send them back with a job offer. And then we give them the picture of what they could be in the future.
Right.
Not just going out like, from the arts college, you just go out and then go wandering around. No. We say you are a worthwhile person. Your self-image is this. Don't think about anything less than that. You put a benchmark, make them understand what your capacity is, what that person's capacity is. And we try to push beyond that. So we get a very good, and there are lots of companies which come and pick. Even today, I had a number of calls because I look after the placement also. I had 2-3 companies calling me to asking for our technicians. Why? Because we don't stick to that, the government curriculum of ITI. We go beyond that. We have, as Mr. Sai, I'm sure he's the guy who supplied us, the equipment, Industry 4.0 equipment for our institute, like BMS, home automation. We have other, Industry 4 equipment.
Yes, I understand.
All these things we give to the students just to make them qualified for the future jobs. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's look at a little bit further. Okay, we want to go a little further.
I just want to add a very important point here. Just to go back, this is a very important subject which I want you to just highlight upon. You mentioned the success of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. In management today, we are talking about now intention and attention. If you go to the micro level, for example, if I am intervening in something, it is the most important thing is my intention at that time and my attention at that time is the prime important thing. If my intention in the intervention is in a different intention, it will fail. If my intervention and attention has to be collaborative and the synergy has to be there, otherwise your leadership will completely collapse.
Yes.
Just to highlight on that point is a very vital point. If understood properly, we can really synergize it much better.
Very good. And you can see, all of us can see, a lot of leadership collapses happening all around us, in not only in business organizations, but everywhere. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Again, everybody, please go on mute. Whenever you want to speak, you can unmute and share, and then go back on mute. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Pillai. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
So we want to bring in another dimension here, and this is connected with the fundamental competency of leaders. Okay. So what do you think is the most fundamental competency of a leader? Like if you have to choose one, okay? If of all the competency in the world, if you were to choose only one as the most fundamental competency of leaders, what would you choose? You can chat. You can type it in the chat, or you can unmute and speak. Right?
Swanand here. Never giving attitude.
Okay, never give up attitude. Okay.
Akshay here.
Yeah.
Akshay first.
Yeah, Akshay.
Yeah. Listening for.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, somebody
Prakash here.
else.
Yeah, Prakash here. It is the personal management, your own management is very important competency.
Okay, great.
I think it's the self-integrity would that be very important for a leader.
Okay, great. So thank you. So let's look at what is Dr. Otto Sharma saying in the context of the theory U. And of course, I think many of you would have experienced it, but if not, then you want to look at it. So I'm going to go back to theory U to connect this here. And then Ferdie, if you need to jump in anytime, you should do that. Okay. So this theory U was created as with a commitment of transformation of business, society, and self. Okay. And mostly we have been seeing as silos. Businesses have been seen as silos, society has been seen as silos, and individuals are seen as silos. And of course, not to go into the other hundreds of silos within that. But even these three are an interconnected phenomena. And some of you know that MIT is kind of pioneering the systems thinking. So they are also, everything that they do is built on the foundation of systems thinking. And many of us are familiar with systems thinking, but those of us who are not, one simple way I would say is systems thinking talks about understanding the interconnected forces, interconnected phenomena, and not looking at things in vacuum. Okay. So, so when we look at leadership, and a lot of people talk about vision and strategy and a lot of other things, and some of you talked about other things. The most fundamental competency that is required as a leadership is listening. The most fundamental competency is listening, right? You can call it deep listening, you can call it listening, and we want to look at how the whole world of listening shapes everything in our life, and as a leader specifically. So consider that what we call as listening is, I'll see if I can show you the slide here, okay? But I'll also speak parallelly so that we don't need to wait. So what we call listening is downloading, okay? Downloading, but what is downloading? Downloading is listening from our habit, is downloading our past patterns. It is listening from our opinions and judgment. Okay, so consider that what is our normal listening, the automatic listening, the default listening is all around downloading. And we have a world of opinions and judgments, and we are just downloading that. It's like, imagine that you are in a circular room, okay? And there are windows all around, but then those windows have been covered with the curtains, and you're sitting in the center of the room, and there is a projector, and the projector is projecting all the images on those windows. But what is it projecting? It is projecting what's going on in your mind, what you already know. It's not that what you already know is wrong or in some way bad, but it's what you already know. That's not what's happening right now outside. So when you're looking at your goals, when you're looking at your intentions, you're looking at fulfilling your intentions, how to fulfill those intentions and everything else. But what you're looking at and what you're listening to is the images being projected by your mind, which is what you already know. So that is the world of downloading. That is the world of what we call as the default listening, or listening by habits, listening through our world of opinions and judgments. And we have opinions and judgments about every person. Good, bad, ugly doesn't matter, right? but we have opinions and judgments about everybody, and we have opinions and judgments about ourselves, and we have opinions and judgments about all the tasks and things to do and whatever we see around it. It's just automatic machinery going on. So consider that we and our teams and people around us, everybody, we are all listening through this whole world of habitual opinion judgment process. And it sells off as listening, but maybe it's not so listening. So that's the first thing, to start being aware of that we are downloading. I think the beginning of the transformation as a leader is to start noticing how much of downloading is going on about ourselves, about our teams, about the customers, about the organization, about the people that you want support from, the stakeholders, no, everywhere. It's all running the show. And yeah, you can say, oh, I am not doing downloading. Okay. You would miss the golden opportunity for transformation. Okay. So if you ignore it, yeah, it's nobody can force you to look at it, but it might be a great opportunity to say, okay, I'm a human being. All human beings are doing downloading. Maybe I am also doing downloading. Maybe I don't know, but let me find out. Okay. Of course, those of you who are married, I think it's very easy for you to find out you're downloading, right? But otherwise also. Right? So, okay, Basawa, go back on mute, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so now, how many of you can see, if you can raise your hand and see that you have a world of opinions and judgment? If you can raise your hand, okay. Yeah, and it's not wrong. It's just that you start noticing that, right? The more you notice your world of opinion and judgment, the less grip it has on you. If you don't notice it, it runs you completely. Okay. So if you want to have freedom from this opinion and judgment, I don't think it's possible. At least I haven't discovered that. But what I have noticed is the more I am aware that, oh, right now I have this opinion and judgment about this person or this task or this responsibility, the more I can see that opinion and judgment, the grip of that opinion and judgment on me is reduced. Okay. And then you can have some space. So so this is also what we call as the voice of judgment. So we have the voice of judgment going on 24/7, and I really mean 24/7 because for many of us, it doesn't sleep even when you physically try to sleep. The voice is still active, right? But otherwise also. Now, once you start noticing your voice of judgment about yourself, about others, and it will start opening up a space. And then you can move to real listening, okay? And then there are layers of listening in that. So the next level of listening, Ferdie, are you in a position to share the screen with the slide?
Yeah, I'll do that while you talk,
Yeah,
while
yeah.
I find it, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I can try once more. Just
No, you go ahead, you talk because your thing is slow. I'll find it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys, just give me 1 second, okay? Okay, so as we go ahead, and if we are able to notice our voice of judgment, and if you can put it aside, suspend your voice of judgment. By the way, we are not saying that your judgment is wrong or invalid, right? But if you can suspend it for some time, then you can get into what we call as factual listening. Okay, factual listening is a very different commitment. It is a commitment to listen and discover contradictory data. It's not something that, oh, you listen automatically. No, you are listening for You're committedly listening for, okay, what is this person saying which is different from the way I have understood things? Or what is this data pointing at which is maybe asking me to reevaluate my opinion or reevaluate my assessment or reevaluate even my intention? Something that makes you think again, right? So you can say contradictory data. And all progress, all innovation, all change depends on your ability to listen for contradictory data. If you are in a meeting with your team and you get everybody saying yes, 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 maybe it wasn't so useful meeting. Maybe if you get some contradictory information, or somebody points out something that you didn't think of, a different perspective, a different way to look at the data, maybe there is a different world opening there.
Manoj, can you see my slide?
Yes, I can see your slide, and it's open to the U process. Okay, and I
Yeah,
think
you want to take them through this before you go down?
No, I am already on that, so I'll complete that, and we can come back here.
Okay, it's here.
No, not this. The list. You had the listening slide, the four levels.
Yeah. Here
Okay,
we
fine.
are. Can you
Yeah.
not see it?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay,
can
I
see
can
it,
see
right?
Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah. Okay. So once so if you're in this space where, oh, I know the answer, I have all the answer, and then you're listening for everything that matches your answer, which is what the brain normally does. The brain is programmed to keep looking for answers which match your current logic, current theory, right? That won't give you access to some innovation, right? That won't give you any new possibilities. But if you train yourself to, okay, committedly listen for discovering contradictory data, which will force you to question your logic, expand your logic, change your logic, whatever. That's what is called factual listening, listening for contradictory data. And that is also what we call as open mind, right? Now, of course, everybody wants to believe they have an open mind, but they don't want to work to open their mind. Consider open mind is not a characteristic you have, but open mind is a moment by moment exercise of opening your mind in that moment. It's not that you open your mind in the morning when you brush your teeth. No, it doesn't last like that. It's like every meeting, every conversation, you have to consciously open your mind, consciously willing to listen to, oh, what am I missing here? What is new here? What's different here, right? So that's the first level of factual listening that we want to talk about. And then we want to talk about another level, which is, you can also say open heart. And this is where you go beyond the voice of cynicism, and you can connect to people, and you can see things from their life, their eyes. Like right now, we were talking just before the call, Ferdie and I was talking about this whole situation in India and the way this whole COVID is getting managed, and all the problems people are facing. And yeah, I think it's like a when you start looking at life from their different people's eyes, and yeah, I'm talking about the migrant workers, but also many other stakeholders here. And when you start seeing life from their eyes, you get a different perspective to life. Same way in our businesses, when we start looking at life from the eyes of the employees, the customers, the other stakeholders, the users, you start expanding the world. You're expanding the world of thinking that you're operating from, right? And you can connect to people, okay? And a whole new paradigm can emerge. So let me pause here, okay? And firstly, I'm going to mute all because there's some background noise, and you can unmute yourself whenever you want to speak, okay? Okay, so with regards to your intention and with regards to your attention on the intention that we described and what you want to accomplish, I would like you to have this in the background of how the listening plays a role there. Your own listening of people around you, how that plays a role there. Okay. So just kind of reflect on that for a minute or two, and if you want to respond anything on the chat, you can do that. It's a quiet reflection time.
Manoj, can you please repeat what you want us to reflect on?
With regards to your intention and with regards to your attention on your intention, how is this world of downloading and listening
क्योंकि ये डायग्राम
playing out there? Yeah.
ये पेपर है मेरे पास सारे
Okay, and you can respond on the chat.
Hi.
Om Prakash, you're on mute. You need to speak. Om Prakash, you need to unmute yourself. Manu, just pass me co-host again.
Yeah.
So we have a few answers on chat.
Yeah.
Are you you're on that, Manoj?
Yeah.
Get lost in the intention of finding meaning instead of what's been said. First slide of this deep listening.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just going to, I think this is the right time now for us to share with you the program we're talking about. Otherwise, we're just talking about all these different things. We're going to bring it all together. And I'd like to bring it all together by we're going to go through the U theory. So what we are introducing you to, this is an introduction to the U theory. It's an introduction to leadership from the emerging future. How can you be the kind of leader that you want to be that'll take advantage of the new kind of future that is emerging. And the youth theory, as Manoj has shown you the slide already. Sorry. Oh, what's happened? Sorry, what happened?
You got the video on.
No, I don't want to show the video. I wanted to, okay. I went back somewhere. Give me a moment. See, so this thing, right? So we said that the youth theory is about learning, leadership, innovation, and transformational change. And Manoj talked about learning by reflecting on the references of the past, which is what we're already very good at, and learning from the future. This is a new kind of learning from the future as it emerges. And what the youth theory and what the seminar that we are offering you is about is learning from the future as it emerges. And right now we don't even know what the future is. How do you learn from a future when you don't know what the future is? So we are introducing you to the U process. Can you see this, by the way, or am I missing something here?
No, your screen is not visible right now.
Ah, that's what I thought. Sorry, I stopped sharing. Let me go back again. Screen share. Okay. So share.
Yes, now we can see the U process.
Okay, so we want to introduce you at this point to what we call the U process. Why is it called the U process? Because it's in the form of a U, right? And in the U process, you start from the left-hand side, the top. And there are three parts to the U process. The first one is the process of observing, how to observe. But observe not only with your eyes, but as Manoj was pointing out just now, past your downloading, to be able to see things as they are and to be able to see things from the eyes of the beholder, from the eyes of your stakeholders. So there's an observation process. Then at the bottom of the U, you can see a blue dot. That is where you start connecting to your inner self. You retreat and reflect, and we'll give you practices that enable you to connect to sources of inspiration. And then going up the U on the right-hand side is all about action. Act in an instant. Crystallize your vision and your intention, and then create a prototype and iterate. Now, don't worry too much about that right now, because I'll show you this other slide. The same thing, this is in gray, right? So we look, there are three things you're learning. One is sensing, that is transforming your perception. Second is presencing, that is transforming yourself and your will. And the third one is realizing, which is transforming action. And to do that, you need to get clear about three spaces. One is the space of suspending. Suspending what? The downloading. Suspending that conversation that's getting in your way. Once you suspend it, then you can look wherever you want to look. It's like that room we're talking about, the circular room. You get out, you get to the end of the room and draw the curtain and look outside, and you can see something other than your downloading. So that's the suspending, what you call factual listening. And then you step out of the room into the shoes of your stakeholder or the person in your family or the person in your company, and you look through their eyes and you look at yourself and your system through their eyes. That's redirecting. So all that will transform your perception, will transform how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see other people. Then the next step is to let go. Why do you need to let go? So that you can let come. You can let the future come. Otherwise, you're holding on to the past so strong. You want it to be like the way it's always been, and you want it to be something better, and you're only thinking from the goda gadi ka ye jo hai na, kya bolte usko? The things that the horses will not look this side and that in front of them, so they can look only straight ahead. That's how we are looking.
The
blinders. You need to let go.
Blinders.
Yeah, blinders. So you need to let go so that you can let come. Let come what? The future. And in order to do that, you have to transform yourself and will. and that's we call presencing. That's the second space that we will train you in. And then there is realizing. How do you make it real? So you'll get an intention, you'll get a possibility, it will inspire you. Put your sound off, please. Sorry. We need a certain discipline for this thing to work. So the next step is you actually take your intention, crystallize your intention, an eco intention that everybody can get enrolled in. And then you create a project. We call it prototype. Why prototype? Because it'll change as you go along. You create a prototype and you throw it out there. You get feedback. You change it. You throw it back out there. You get feedback. It'll change. You change it. You put it out there until you got a working prototype. Now the next question is number 7, which is you're taking it to scale. How do we take it to scale? How do we institutionalize it? So there are 3 spaces, this space here, sensing, the space of presencing, and the space of realizing. And there are 7 capacities: the capacity to suspend, the capacity to redirect, the capacity to let go, the capacity to let come, the capacity to crystallize something from nothing, the capacity to prototype, and the capacity to institutionalize. So this is the U theory. And the listening that Manoj was speaking of is the first step in the U theory. You start with noticing that you are downloading. What are you downloading? Past patterns, judgments. You need to suspend them. When you suspend the downloading, you can see with fresh eyes. And we call that an open mind. And then you start having an open mind and you open your mind. And then you redirect your attention and you start sensing from the field, from other people's perspective. To do that, you have to open your heart. And then we go to letting go, which is opening your will, which then allows you to let come the future. And then you enact, act, take actions. You crystallize your vision and intention, and you start prototyping and you embody. So this is the whole theory U, and you will see on top of that, we say the success of the intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. Now, what I'd like to do is to keep it open for any questions you have just now. Forget about the chat, talk to me, okay? The questions, I'm going to stop the sharing and let's have some questions here.
Can I
Yes,
take
Mr.
the
R.K.
first
Pillai. R.K.
Yes.
Pillai, go for it.
First of all, I would say a big thanks to Sai for bringing me to your platform, Manoj and Freddy. It's really fantastic. I've learned a lot. Even I just want to say that I have the experience of speaking to and meeting and having a good conversation with many of the world leaders, including Jack Canfield, Stephen Covey, Robin Sharma, and Shiv Kher, and others also. But what I've learned from you here are 2-3 things which are very, very important. And I will just make a point of that. The most important thing is, especially, your the important thing is, the contracting, the information plus the U theory. I really liked it, and it's a learning curve. My one question, which I have never been able to successfully answer to myself or to anybody, is converting threats into opportunity is I'm a king in that. Sir, if you can give me an answer as to how do you handle people who convert opportunities into threats? I'm not able to solve this riddle.
I think you should run far away from them.
What I have to do is I also
but
what to answer is the thing, I have to leave the place. That's exactly
I'll give you a different angle. Okay, Mr. Pillai. One of the things that we work on in this workshop is to see the world from people's eyes. Okay, because we all have a particular way we look at the world, and we are surprised how come others don't see the world in the same way. Okay, Ramesh, can you go on mute? Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I can get a sense that it must be frustrating for you in some situations. But if you actually stepped out of your room and actually went to them and then saw life from their eyes and saw yourself from their eyes, which is one very important part of the starting of the workshop, is we actually train people and how do you like actually stepping into their life and seeing life from them, their eyes, seeing yourself from their eyes, seeing your organization from their eyes, right? You will discover that you can actually bridge the gap between your world and their world, right? And your intention and their intention. So I think I would say that it's possible to actually empower people who see life differently.
No, what
And
happens is,
we have some tools that
Yes.
enable you
no,
to do what Manoj is saying. And the
yeah,
tools, this tool is called,
right.
one of the tools is called an empathy walk or an empathy
Okay.
coffee, right? Go for a little
Right.
walk or go and have coffee with somebody and get to know the person. The intention is to get to know the person, somebody who's so different from you, and you want to
Right.
understand them. And for that, you have to set aside your judgments. You can set aside your downloading to be able to understand them. And then the second exercise we have is very, very powerful. It's called a stakeholder interview, where you interview your stakeholder, your boss, your colleague, your subordinate, anybody who is your husband or your wife, because they are a stakeholder in you and in your life. And you're asking them three basic questions. What is your most important objective in this business or in your life? What's your most important objective? And how can I help you fulfill that? So it's my boss. What's your most important objective? How can I help you fulfill that? Most of the time, we think we know what our boss's objective is. We never really ask them. So
Right.
ask them. Second thing is, how will you judge that I am successful in supporting you? What will be your measure of judgment? You ask them that. We don't assume it. And last is, if I could change two things in the way I behave over the next 6 months, what would be those two things that will make the biggest difference for you? So what happens is then you begin to understand the other person, whether he's your enemy or your stakeholder, from their perspective and not from your assumption of what you think their perspective is. Mr. Pillai, is that making sense to you?
Perfectly, it is a one way of looking. But what happens is in real life, what happens is when I'm starting from 0 to 10, I'm coming across somebody who's a minus 10. So I have lost a lot of time in getting him to 0. Because in today's context, what is happening is to be where you are, I have to keep running. So I lose
come
a
and
lot
do the
of time.
program. Come and do the program. You'll find that it is not as impossible as you think it is.
Right, sir.
And just for
Good.
everybody, it's not only for you. One of the things that we look at is this whole myth called leadership as an individual phenomena. And we shift to seeing the whole system, developing the whole intelligence of the whole system and like the collective leadership. And then you realize that it is, while it's challenging, that is the most powerful way to build a future bigger than ourselves. Thank you, Mr. Pillai.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's move
One
on.
more thing, Manoj.
No, not Vivek. Let's go on. Let's take some
Let's
more
move on,
questions, points. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything you would like to ask? This is a good
About
time to ask.
Theory, about the
course.
program.
Hi, this is Simi
Yasimi.
here.
Yasimi.
Actually, I know that the program you've held for you, theory, it's very much benefit us. My question here is that I'll go a little past. My question here is that how to overcome from ego. I mean, what should we do to focus on ego? How to divert our focus from ego to eco?
Yeah. So
should I answer?
Yeah, you can, and then I have my favorite quote to say.
No,
What do
you go ahead. Go ahead. No, I don't
Okay,
need to.
good.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So one is Simi. It's you have to look at it a little on a broader perspective. Firstly, right? So we are looking at 3 dimensions here in the course for everyone. So first is transforming perception, right?
Yes.
And transforming perception about others, transforming perception of what we are dealing with, and transforming perception about ourselves. Now, when you do that, right, maybe the whole question itself will change, and the way
Yes.
you're seeing the situation will change, because who people are for you, how they are showing up, how the game is showing up for you, and how you yourself are showing up for yourself, right? How the organization is showing up. So there will be an alteration there. So maybe then the whole reference point that you have for the question might alter. Okay, that's one point I
So
would like to say. And the
basically, we have to follow you theory.
yes,
For
No,
that.
no, yeah, but easy. What Manoj is saying,
Yeah, go
another
ahead.
way of saying it is you start noticing your downloading. When you notice that you have a downloading about somebody, then you will find that your perception about them will change. Because it's not that they are this way, it's how you are seeing them. And there's nothing wrong with seeing them that way, but maybe you could see them from another perspective.
Okay, I got it.
So you can do
Yeah.
it without doing U theory. See, you can see this is a pen knife, right?
Yes.
You're seeing it from one perspective. Now, you're seeing something else because you're seeing it from another perspective,
Yes.
right? And now you're seeing something else. And now, like that, when you change your perspectives, your perception changes. That's the first step. You need to be able to recognize that you can change your perception. And you don't need to do theory U for that. You can do it right now. You can notice you can change your perception. We just give you tools that make it easier for you. That's all.
We have to see in every direction actually for
Or in
that
a
particular
different
thing.
direction, or in a different direction, at least one other direction.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I got your
You're
point.
welcome, Sanju.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I have a question, Sanju here, if I
Yes,
may
Sanju.
be allowed
Yes,
to.
Sanju. Yes, Sanju. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you. See, when I'm hearing the whole conversation, very interactive one, but let me tell you, we are on the topic of leadership from the emerging future.
Right.
Now, 3 important points that you mentioned about, very, very important ones. And that, basically that sets it, that can derive the results. Intention, attention, and presence will change everything. That's what is an important part of it. Now, I'm trying to see, when we are talking about emerging future, leadership of emerging future, I'm trying to see, because all these are of past. Intention, attention, presence is of the past. The U process of sensing, presencing, and realizing is of the past, because you do all these things with the past data. Downloading
No, you
is
don't. No,
past.
you don't. No,
This
you don't. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. You don't. It's all inaccurate what you're saying. Presencing is
Why
not about the past. Presencing is about bringing the future into the present. That's what presencing is about. And
Yes, I agree with you.
intention doesn't have to be from the past. Intention can be from your being connected to a higher self. You can get a whole new intention. None of it needs to be from the past.
Or another
But
way
it's
to say
always
that, Sanju, if I can say it
okay, go
another
ahead.
way, Sanju, is yeah, you can do all that from the past, but then you don't need the training for that. All of us are already
Yeah,
champions, right? But
exactly.
what we are looking here is how do you do it listening to the future,
Very good. Well said.
right? We see all of
I
us can
agree.
do all that, and we had years of expertise in doing that, right? But here what we are looking at, how can you listen to the future that is emerging? And what we have been trying to say from the starting of the session today is the first condition for that is to notice our voice of judgment and cynicism. Unless we can suspend, firstly notice, and then suspend our voice of judgment and cynicism, we cannot listen to anything new. And whether it is with our employees, our customers, our stakeholders, people in our family, out in the world, for us, anything new to emerge, right? I was saying jokingly 2 days back, the proof of open mind is something new popping up in the mind which didn't exist before. And Ferdie added to that, mostly that new would start with some kind of a bad news, because it's different from what we expected or different from what we understood. So Sanju, you're right that we could do all that from the past. And what we are looking at and what we are training ourselves and everybody in is the opportunity to suspend that and allow something new to emerge. So it's a different competency to develop. Yeah.
Well, I agree, because I still have thoughts about it, but yes, what you said, or what Mr.
Ferdie
said,
That's very well said. That's very well said, Manoj. And Sanju, you're right in the sense that all that can come from the past, although presence can't come from the past, but intention and all that. But it won't be inspiring if it comes from the past. If you let go of the past, then something can come in from the future.
Yes,
okay?
Yes, I got it. Thank you
Dr.
for
Hirsch,
clarifying.
Dr. Hirsch, you have a question. Don't worry at the slide, Dr. Hirsch. Can you ask your question? You can see if your mic while, if it is, try your, yeah.
Yeah, so here uh, defining the goals and having a clarity would help us understand how do we bring future into the present. So how can we practice or learn or do the
Yeah,
presencing?
very good, very good. I appreciate you for this question, and I want to connect to what Ferdy just said. See, and see, when you in the workshop, somewhere in the mid of the workshop, we'll be doing some exercises which will help you connect to your higher self. Okay, and when you connect to your higher self, that gives you the context for your life, and that can give you the context for the work you do in life, right? So if your goals are coming from ego and survival and making it, that is one kind of goals, nothing wrong, but they have limited power, right? And your objectives coming from that past would have limited power. But if you can connect to your higher self and connect to your purpose, and also you are doing that with having connected to people and having connected to life differently, then your goals and your objectives will be more broader, more, right? You will find it will empower you differently. You'll also find it is much easier for you to then get your teams aligned on it, to get a team aligned, engaged on it, because then it is now more about you. It is something which kind of inspires everybody or a bigger group of people, right? So the short answer would be, the moment you start connecting to your higher self, the goals and objectives will show up differently. Does that help you with your question, Dr. Hirsch?
She said yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Let's have some, we got around 10 minutes for the session, Ferdie and Vivek, just to keep you informed.
Yeah, actually, it might be good at this point to tell them about the next course that's starting and what happens in the 10 sessions and all that. Yeah.
Okay, let me do that, and you can jump in. Okay, so everybody, we offer this work in many ways. Okay, we of course during COVID we have been restricted to offer it online, but otherwise we offer it sorry, both online through Zoom, video conferencing, and of course companies which are not using Zoom, we use Microsoft Teams and Google Meet and other things. But so there is on platform, and then we also do a lot of in-house work. Okay, and there are many levels at which this whole work is done through long-term interventions and all of that. But right now what we want to look at is the first level is it's a either we do it as a 3-day face-to-face workshop, or we offer it as a 3-month in-depth schedule, okay, which is 10 sessions, 1 session per week. It will be if you are doing it in the our open batches, it would be generally a Monday evening or a Tuesday evening, 7:30 to 10. So next batch is on 22nd of June, starting on 22nd of June, and it is scheduled at 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. If you are
Indian
doing it
time.
for an Indian time, yes, and if you're doing it for organization or a group of people, uh, like a bigger group, we could be also doing dedicated workshops. For big organizations, we recommend dedicated workshops, but still both options are available. And if you're doing dedicated workshops, the schedules and everything will be worked out differently. The open batch is starting from 22nd of June. It will be 10 sessions, each session once a week, and each session is around 2.5 hours, which is, as I said, 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. What we would be doing in these workshops is we would start with a lot of exercises and tools in the world of transforming perceptions, okay, and connecting to the world differently, connecting to yourself differently. So, and inside of that, we would be looking at all these tools that we talked about: empathy walk to connect with people who are different than you, who see life differently, and stakeholder interviews to really develop partnership with your stakeholders. One very important tool is understanding the team cultures and altering the team cultures. So all of you who work in groups, and most of us have to work in groups, whether they are reporting to you or not, but you're always working with groups, there being able to see the group culture and to be able to alter that culture, right, is a very useful thing for both culture and performance. So there is a tool which is called as fields of conversation. And then we have another very powerful tool which is in the world of transforming leadership problems. In the way as a leader we look at our problem, we look at our challenges, we have a tool which helps you recreate a whole different context, again as a team. So this is called the case clinic. So this is a set of tools, just what we do in the first, you can say, a little bit over the first 1/3, like 3-4 sessions or so, or maybe max 5. And then we go to the other phase, which is very critical, is exercises to connect with your real self, the higher self, real self, and being able to connect to your purpose of being here on the planet. And then once you get connected to that, which is surprisingly quite simpler than what people think, because of the tools that we have and the work that you do beforehand, then the next phase of the whole workshop is, okay, having connected to your purpose, now what do you do? How do you convert your purpose, your intention into reality? And not just through, I would say, strategy and hard work and willpower and all that, but coming back to what Ferdie talked about, transforming action, right? And how do you co-create a new future? It is not about you creating a future or you creating a future and getting everybody aligned to it. No. What we are looking at is a whole world of co-creating the future with the various stakeholders involved. Of course, with your employees, with your associates, but also you'll find you can co-create futures with many other people, like your customers and other stakeholders that you didn't imagine that would be interested in co-creating the futures, right? So that is the third phase of this workshop, and it is, as I said, it's 10 sessions. And uh, I know that in this session today we wouldn't be able to answer all the questions or go deep down into many other dimensions. So what we also invite you to do is to get in touch after this session. If you'd like to know more, get in touch with us. You can get in touch with the people who invited you to this workshop, like Ashok or Nilesh or Sai Krishna. We call him SK Rao, Aljor, Vivek Chopra, or myself, and Ferdie. So we would also invite you to be in touch with us after the session to for any questions, queries you would have. Okay, and Ferdie, you got 5 minutes. So if you want to
Yeah,
say
you
something.
know, I just we haven't told them how much it cost.
Oh yes, so it costs £500, and you can pay through your credit card or debit card. And if you want to pay in Indian currency, that is also possible, right? So then the tuition will be we multiply the £500 by 94 rupees. That's the conversion rate we use right now, and then the GST would get added to that, right? So that would be the tuition, which is bottom line £500. Yeah, great. Any other questions? But we can take a question or two
And you
before we
know,
wrap up. Yeah.
and you know, for some of you, the timings will be a little bit of a problem because you may be in Australia or in Thailand and maybe late at
Philippines.
night,
Yeah.
or you may be in London and it may be in the middle of your workday. So whatever questions you have, please come and address. If you're in London, you can talk to me or Chaitanya. If you're in India, you can talk to Vivek or Manoj or whoever introduced you to this, and we will support you in looking at how you can participate. Okay?
Okay.
I think that's it.
4
for me.
minutes to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So good. And I think
we should wrap up.
yes, because if you try to take a question, we'll kind of should. So thank you very much, everybody. We deeply appreciate you investing your time with us and giving this allowing us to share with you, and looking forward to interacting with you further. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent session. Awesome.
Thank you very much.